Alvin Bragg, the Manhattan DA, is now suing Jim Jordan to try to block. We put up that first element here to try to keep Jim Jordan out of this case. He went for a temporary restraining order to prevent Jordan from subpoenaing former prosecutor in his office, who Eliza Orlins talked about in our interview last week. He's written a book kind of playing up his role as a prosecutor, resigning in protest because Bragg wasn't going in the direction he wanted. Jordan's trying to subpoena him. Jordan is otherwise trying to get all sorts of information about roughly $5,000 in federal money that Bragg has spent in the tax part of the investigation so far. And Bragg is straight up calling this obstruction of justice. Like he said, you're obstructing this investigation. I want the judge to stop it. The judge has rejected the temporary restraining order request, but has said that that Jim Jordan needs to reply by, I think, April 15th or 17th for a hearing around April 19th. So this is moving quickly because it raises all sorts of separation of power and questions and also independence of the judiciary. Like, can you subpoena and publicly attack a prosecutor in the middle of a prosecution in a deliberate effort to slow down the prosecution, like that, to obstruct? Like, they're trying to obstruct. They won't even say they're doing anything other than trying to obstruct the prosecution, right?
Yeah, I mean, so Jim Jordan says, first they indict a president for no crime. This is what he tweeted yesterday. Then they sue to block congressional oversight when we ask questions about the federal funds they say they used to do it. So yes, he's using that roughly $5,000 as I think you can understand why it falls into the oversight umbrella. He's using it as exactly $5,000. I don't think he's deeply concerned about the $5,000, but he's using it as his in to then file this. And I saw experts quoted, I think, in Axios this morning saying, listen, Bragg does not really have a shot here, but his goal is likely to slow it all down. To tie it all up. And I think even John Dean tweeted that it was like a genius move or a brilliant move on behalf of Alvin Bragg to file the suit.
Just tangle him up in court rather than having to keep going. Yeah, I guess, sure, makes sense. So in related news, the Gang of Eight, which is known as the kind of two heads, we put up this second element, the two heads of the intelligence committees on both sides of the Capitol and the leaders of the Senate and the House, are now in possession of the classified documents that both Biden and Trump intentionally or unintentionally squirreled away into their garages and their resorts. And so they now know what was missing, what was purloined, what kind of leaked out. I have always said the way to resolve this is to basically show the public everything, except the stuff, I guess, it would get somebody killed.
Yes.
Like, immediately.
Right.
And then let people judge. Like, was this, did they take, the CIA's stupidly classified soup of the day menu? Or was this something related to nuclear technology that the UAE was going to pay for?
Well,
because those are completely different questions about whether or not the public should consider this to be something they care about.
Exactly, and we have some indications that the documents at Mar-a-Lago, we sort of know that some of those are highly classified. Like we know that some of those, because there were pictures that were filed, obviously, we can sort of make conclusions from that, but still having that lack of information between the Pence documents, the Biden documents, and the Trump documents, it's a world apart. Based on soup of the day, which is a joke, but also not really.
No, they really do that.
Yeah, they really do that. Between that and between like actual nuclear secret stuff, and we've been having this conversation for coming up on this was last August, so coming up on a year now, we've been having this conversation about the Trump documents, totally in the dark about exactly how bad they are. Again, we have some indications, but without knowing exactly what that is. And this gets us closer to that process, obviously, because as senators see things, they say things and just sort of gets the ball rolling. The closer that we get to that, the more we can, as the public, make judgments about this, because it's actually really hard to say, knowing that the documents were moved, knowing that Trump was trying to obstruct it seemingly was trying to obstruct the collection of the documents. It makes a world of difference what what was in those boxes. And we haven't known for almost a year.
Yeah. This is also a good excuse for me to bring up a beef I have with the way that Congress does this. The idea that you have a gang of 8, that you have 8 elected members of Congress who have this kind of special ability to see intelligence material that other members of Congress who have also been elected by equal districts around the country or states that are equal in the Constitution creates a situation that puts Congress in this subservient role to the intelligence community.
Yeah.
To me, if you are a member of Congress, the people have invested in you their trust and the power and authority that comes with that trust. Like if you believe in a democratic republic, then you have to, I think, give everyone that the people send to Washington the same access. Otherwise, you wind up with this power imbalance where even people who are on the Intelligence Committee, Republican, even in the majority on the Intelligence Committee, don't have access to some of this stuff.
And I think that's important because part of what we're talking about here is that we have indications, not just from those pictures, but via leaks to the media about the Trump files. And we saw that over the course of the Russia collusion investigation. We saw that with the Iraq war. Leaks to the media are often dramatically out of context. The media will contextualize them exactly as their national security sources want them to contextualize them. And that could mean that soup of the day is alluded to in media reports as something much more serious than it actually is. And you can come up with a million different ways to do that. You could say, highly classified information about the personal decisions made by national security officials when that is actually just the soup that they ate for lunch. But it's really, really misleading when we play this leak game with national security. And again, we have a million different examples to show us that very clearly at this point. And so that's part of the reason why having not just the Department of Justice know what's in those documents is so important, even if it is senators from both the Democratic and Republican Party, and that gets it closer to the public having an understanding of it. You then have competing interests that are, they both know what's there, and they can bring us slightly closer to an accurate or balanced perspective of what's there, even if we can't see it ourselves.
And I feel like those competing interests should have the legal ability to use their own judgment for what they believe they ought to share with the public. Like, I think it's wild that the Speaker of the House and the leader of the Senate can be told by a bureaucrat who wasn't elected what they can share with the public. And it shows a kind of split between the faith that a lot of Americans, if you take like an extreme, like libertarian right-wing approach to the market, they'd say, we don't need we don't need an FAA because if an airplane crashes, then consumers are just going to not fly on that one, and so that people are then incentivized to build safer airplanes. Like that's the kind of faith that some people will put into a market, but they don't put that same faith in voters. Like if a Speaker of the House recklessly released classified information that the public felt should not have been released, you can vote them out of office. You can vote their party out of office. So if you believe in the kind of the wisdom of the crowds that make up a market, why not put the same, vest the same authority and dignity into the people who elect our members of Congress?
Hey guys, ready or not, 2024 is fully upon us now, and Sagar and I have been brainstorming ways that we can really up our game for this critical election.
Yeah, we rely on our premium subs to expand our coverage, to add staff, to upgrade the studio. We just want to give you the best independent coverage of this election, which is possible. So if you can help us out, become a premium subscriber today, breakingpoints.com, or the link is down here in the description video. It really means the world to us, and if you like what we're all about, this is the best possible way to keep us 100% independent, working only for you.